Hello and welcome back to Visiting Dugout. I am Chrystal O'Keefe. We're here today to discuss the Angels. I have my friend AngelsFaithful back this season to chat. So hello, welcome back.
Hi, how's it going? It's good to be back.
Yeah, thanks so much. So we were just actually talking right before I hit record that Mike Trout is now the newest Angels all-time leader in extra base hits at 797, passing the recently deceased Garrett Anderson, and that's a little bittersweet, especially timing wise. But outside of that, what's new with Angels baseball?
Just today we had a few kind of moves that kind of played out. So our catcher Logan O'Hoppe just got sent to the IL with a fractured wrist, unfortunately. So I believe our primary catcher now is going to be Travis Darno, and then our backup's going to be Sebastian Rivera, I believe. So that'll be interesting to see. I mean, unfortunately, Olabi was struggling regardless. Obviously, you never want to, you know, hope an injury of any sort, but maybe it'll give him time to kind of reset, whether mentally, physically, whatever it may be. So I think the kind of break would be good for him. Besides that, we did a few more moves on the bullpen side. So we brought up Joey Lucchesi and we DFA'd Don Anderson and Jordan Romano, which unfortunately I was really rooting for Jordan Romano. I think that he was doing what his first few um, appearances, he was doing really good. But I think that his appearance in New York, or his appearances in New York, really just kind of threw things off. Which he's always been bad in New York, so it was a really weird series for him, and I think it's kind of unfair to judge him off of that series. But after that series, he still kind of had issues. His velocity was down, and he was still having, issues with command regardless. We got blown out yesterday, 12-1 or 12. I think it was a shutout. I don't remember. I think it was 12-1 or something like that. And I think he gave up. I think he walked the bases loaded, and then he gave up 2 runs. So I think that was kind of just a nail in the coffin. But yeah.
So, do you feel like the Angels did enough in the off season? Because you're not off to a great start, neither are the White Sox, so don't feel bad. Do you feel like you guys did enough in the off season to maybe turn this season around, or where are you
Well, I you
standing?
know yeah. So I think that I felt like our off season was very underrated. Just because I felt like we brought in a lot of the right guys, if you wanna, so to speak. I think more so our off-season moves was the coaching stuff. And I don't mean our manager specifically, just because I haven't been a big fan of what he's done in regards to like the bullpen decisions. But bringing in Mike Maddox, which he's obviously a great pitching coach, and then bringing in Brady Anderson as our hitting coach, which I mean. We're still leading the league in strikeouts, unfortunately, but we are also leading the league in walks, which is great to hear because of how like it was just horrible last year. We weren't taking walks. We were just looking at pitches down the middle. Like the approach as a whole was just horrible. But I do think that our bullpen, we were able to bring in a lot of solid guys, which like I said, I was excited about Romano, but it happens. We were able to bring in Kirby Yates, which he should be hopefully back somewhat soon. I assume mid May. Grayson Rodriguez, which he should be back mid to late May as well. But I'm hearing he's only throwing fastballs right now. So you know, we'll see how that goes. Um, what else? We brought in Pomerantz, which he's been good. That was obviously the right move to make. We were looking for a few lefties. Um, and then on the offensive side, it was. it was interesting, just because there were so many moves that were made that I think it was so many depth moves that kind of just confused things. We were able to bring in Von Grissom. We brought in, well, we brought back Moncada, as you know. Um, we also, well, we had traded for Peraza, and then we basically made him our starting. He's kind of splitting time with Moncada right now. So they're kind of going, I wouldn't necessarily say 50-50, but they're kind of going 50-50. He's also playing second base. Adam Frazier, that was like probably one of the most underrated signings of like the entire offseason. He's been amazing for us. Um, and yeah, I think Grissom, Peraza, and Frazier have all been doing pretty good for us, which I'm really happy about. It's just our pitching is just it's a mess, unfortunately.
Yeah, I understand that very well. So, how are you feeling kind of I mean, April has been weird for baseball. A lot of teams that were excellent last year have been really bad. I mean, there was obviously like a lot of drama in Boston and your division, your American League West. So the A's are at the top right now, but I mean, they're all kind of really close. And then the Astros who have kind of just lost their way entirely, which I personally love to see as an Astros number one hater. Um, but do you feel good about how the rest of the season might shake out, especially because you do have a lot of really key players coming back soon? Are you feeling good about how this season will shake up for the Angels?
I'll be honest and say no. I wanna. I'm someone who tries my best to be as optimistic as I can with the team, just because I like we have the pieces. They just don't come together all at the same time, unfortunately. And I think that we have one of the hardest schedules I think throughout the entire MLB schedule. Um, so when we kind of find go on a run, and then we start facing like some crazy teams back to back to back, and I'm like, well, it kind of demoralizes. But no, I think that this is a team that is going to fight, and they're not going to kind of roll over necessarily. But I think that when they look bad, they look like a double A team. I'll be completely honest, like they look bad. um yeah, no, I mean, I'm excited to see how the season plays out, because of there's so many factors going into potentially 2027 season. I don't think we'll have one, but a 2028 season. Our GM is on the last year of his contract. Our entire coaching staff is on a 1-year deal. So I don't know what's necessarily going to happen, and I think that if we're out of it, I would not be 100% surprised if we could just completely blow it up, and anyone not named Trout is on the block.
So we're gonna take a quick break. We'll come back and we're gonna preview this series of Mike Trout's team, the Angels. All right. Welcome back. So this game, again, White Sox are kind of in the same spot. We're not doing so hot. It's been a very slow start. The Angels have had a pretty slow start. You mentioned Angels pitching is really bad, and we'll actually see the Angels. We kind of play twice in about a week and a half span, so we'll just talk about this first series pitching. But like overall, I feel like your general vibe is pitching isn't great. But we'll see Jack Kohanowitz versus Anthony Kay for that first matchup. Jose Soriano with Davis Martin for the second game, and then you say I know how to say it, Kikuchi with Eric Fetty. So what can you tell me about what to kind of expect for this first matchup?
Yeah, I mean, so that's Jack K. Yeah, so it's funny because our pitching is bad, but it's honestly more so just our bullpen. Our starting pitchers have been, I wanna say, I think we're like top 15 in the entire league in starter ERA. We might even be better than that. I don't know. I haven't checked recently. But Jack Hay, for the most part, he's a ground ball pitcher, so he's gonna get a lot of contact. As long as he doesn't get, you know, any hits, there as long as they're not elevated, we should be fine. But he's going to get a lot of contact, more than likely a few, double plays turned against him, or behind them. And yeah, no, I mean he's going to be definitely interesting to see, and hopefully he had a really bad year last year, but I think that he's been able to turn it around, and his velocity is up, so that's obviously exciting to see. I think he's almost hitting 100 on his fastball, which I think he was only hitting like 95 last year. So it's been fun to see him progress.
So what about our other two, Jose and Yusei? What are
Yeah,
they looking like
s-
this year?
yeah, Soriano. I mean, I mean, I don't think there's much to say about him. Just the fact that he's been completely lights out. I mean, every single start so far, he's just created history. He has a what I think a .23 ERA, something like that,
Mhm.
in his six starts. Unfortunately, we weren't able to get a W in his last start. Oh, I mean, technically we did, but it just wasn't a pitching W for him,
Right.
unfortunately. Yeah, no, I mean, he's disgusting. He's getting a lot more strikeouts. I think his like tunneling is just completely out of this world. He's getting batters to strike out on pitchers in like the opposite batter's box. It's disgusting, and he's making guys look just completely silly in the batter's box. It's been so fun to watch in the season. I mean, we're still only in April, but in a season that's so young, but so with so much disappointment. But yeah, no, I mean he's been fun to watch. The only run he's given up was a home run to Baldwin. I think it was like the first inning or something like that. But since then, like I mean, even when he's gotten, because his last start against, I forgot who it was exactly, but his last start, I think he gave up like 7 hits, but he was able to get out of it each and every time. He only went 5 innings, I believe. He was able to get out of it each time. He's just been completely dominant. Um, and then lastly, Kikuchi. He's he's been interesting. His last two starts have been really good, and I think it's because he's been able to change his arm angle. I believe he's lowered it, which has made it harder for batters to kind of see the pitch coming out of his hand. The previous starts before that, he had mentioned that he was experimenting with a different arm angle and wanted to see how it would kind of help or affect him, and he wasn't doing really good. Um, it's been fun to watch. I think the three of them are capable of going, 6 innings, allowing less. Oh, aside from Soriano, Jack K and Kikuchi going, 6 innings, allowing less than 3 runs. But Kikuchi is one of those guys where he could go 4 innings, allowing like 5 runs and something like that. So it'll be interesting to see.
That second game will be a very good one. You've mentioned Jose Davis Martin is kind of the clear ace, at least in my opinion, and I think I share that opinion. He's been the clear ace for the White Sox, so that one will be a very interesting matchup. Davis Martin is still very young, but he has been phenomenal all season. We kind of joke in our Southside Sox Slack that we've got the Davis Martin hype train because he's been so fun to watch. So that's the one I really want to check out because that's going to be a really good pitchers duel game, which I'm always a fan of those games. So, which player on this Angels team, and it's okay if you say Mike Trout, which player on this Angels team is going to be the biggest threat to the White Sox?
Um, I Trout is one of those guys, obviously, that when he's streaky, he is the MVP Trout that everyone should and is afraid of. Um, but I think, an underrated player to kind of look out for. I don't know. Are any of those guys lefties? Anyways, well, that's besides the point. Just because I was gonna say, Frazier is someone he's just been smashing. It's not like he's hitting crazy home runs, but he's just hitting the ball left and right, and he's really kind of surprised Angels fans. But he's definitely someone to look out for and kind of be I wouldn't say necessarily afraid of, but kind of someone to look out for. Except unless you're playing the lefty, then you probably won't be playing. But besides the point, I guess.
So fun because I was totally just expecting it to be Mike Trout. Um, and kind of on that note, to follow up, what do the Angels need to do to take this series from the White Sox? Because I do feel like this is a pretty evenly matched series teams wise. So what do they need to do to take it from the White Sox?
I think a lot of what it is going to come down to is the pitching, obviously. But I think that, with Darno being our primary catcher now, I think he's going to call a very differently game than what Ohabi would have called. So if we just pretend that the pitching does its average job, giving up maybe 3 runs, you know, doing its job, I think that what's important is not allowing not allowing not how one should not striking out and simply putting the ball in play. It's something as simple as that. Being able to kind of just put the ball in play. Anything could happen, obviously, and just let the bats fly. Because like I said, when we're cold, we're ice cold. But when we're hot, honestly, we look like one of the best offenses in the entire league.
So on the opposite end of that, what fears do you have heading into this series?
I think one thing that I'm interested in or kind of fearful about is just the moves that we've made in calling in the new guys that we did because of the injuries, the DFAs, things of that nature. Jose Fermin, he had some issues in spring training with command. He had an extremely high ERA. He's still a really young player, so it'll be interesting to see how he does. So I guess as a whole, it would be the bullpen, because like I said, our starters for the most part can hold their own, but our bullpen, when there's traffic, they get rattled, and that's when trouble happens.
So moving away from this series and just talking about baseball overall, one, do you have any great hot takes? Because those are my favorite things to hear. And two, just how are you feeling about this 2026 season as a whole so far? It's like I said, it's been a weird one to start.
Yeah, I wouldn't. I'd be. I don't know if I would say I have any hot takes, just because I haven't paid very close attention to many other teams. Trying to see. I don't. I mean, I guess my quote unquote hot take would just be that Mike Trout wins comeback player of the year. Um, yeah, or Oh, actually, no. I will probably take that back. That Soriano is top three in Cy Young voting,
Okay, I can get behind
and
that.
what was this? Oh yeah, the 2026 season. It's been weird. Teams that are doing. I mean, like the Phillies were on a crazy losing streak, 10 game losing streak that they just broke yesterday. The Mets were on a 12-game losing streak that they just broke earlier this week. Um, the Cubs that are like on a well, I don't know if they've lost yet, but they were on like a 12, 13 game winning streak, but no one seems to be talking about it. Like it's just weird. It's a weird season. The Astros, who apparently the entire like starting rotation is just hurt, so they're
Yeah.
just running out. I think like a double A rotation. It's weird. I think it's gonna be a fun season for MLB as a whole, but I think it's gonna be an interesting season, definitely going into the lockout.
The Cubs did finally lose the Dodgers,
Oh
which
yes.
are no better, in my opinion. Um, really whooped up on them yesterday, and it was kind of funny because it came on the heels of Pete Crow Armstrong trying to, once again say Dodgers fans are horrible. And you know what? I'm not gonna defend either one of these fan bases as someone who really just can't stand either team, but they beat him up pretty badly. He went 0-4 with like four strikeouts. Really bad performance. But so they have been getting manhandled by the Dodgers at least. So
And I
they
think they're currently losing right now. So yeah.
probably, yeah, yeah. I try to stay away from both of those teams, but at the same time I was like, PCA, don't make me defend the Dodgers right now because you're just sounding ridiculous. Unfortunately, Chicago has to have two teams and we have to share it with the Cubs. It's not ideal. Um, yeah, anything. I mean, we also touched on 2027 earlier and how you seem to not think there will be a season or much of a season. I'm really in agreement and I hate that and I think it's so bad for baseball. That'll be kind of the nail in the coffin for that whole idea of growing the sport, unfortunately.
Yeah. The only thing that I'm excited about if we do have a lockout is the fact that it's probably the only thing or the only reason that would not force, but that would make our owners sell. Because the rumors are that the evaluations of the teams are going to go up after the lockout. So we're assuming, or where the rumors are, that he's going to wait until after, so that way the evaluation is bumped up. I mean, the Padres got, what they get, like 4 billion, something like that.
Yeah,
Um, so the Angels probably easily are going to beat that, at least five. So we'll see. We'll see what happens.
it's one of those like, Lord, I've seen what you've done for others situations. I mean, the White Sox are about 3 years out
Oh
of
yeah,
new ownership, and
right. That
2029
was a
is,
weird, that was a weird structure of like he's taking over a little bit by little bit after like 5 years, something like that. 'Cause I think he like is majority owner in like what, like 2028, 2029, something like that.
yeah. So Justin takes over majority owner in 2029, but like the Reinsdorfs still have a ton of control over it. So the whole agreement is really weird, and I'm not even fully completely understanding it, I think, because just the way it's worded, it's just like, what are you guys even talking?
Yeah,
Give the team to Justin because gosh, we just need somebody to like actually spend money on players.
yeah.
That would be wonderful. So we're like, a couple years out, and I'm just like, after seeing that Padres news, I was like, come on. Like we are desperate. We need something like we do, your team does, the Athletics do. I was like, just we need
And
some
so many teams
young
have
fresh.
sold recently too. Like the Orioles sold. I forgot what other teams have sold recently, but I teams have been getting dealt pretty a lot recently. So it's been interesting to see, and I would not doubt if a few more teams are sold after the lockout.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what the aftermath is of this potential lockout. But I hate that we'll likely be out of baseball for a while.
Yeah. I mean, I understand both sides. I understand that owners want a ceiling and the players want a floor, and I don't think a ceiling's gonna happen because obviously the owners don't have any real power.
Mhm.
Um, but who knows? Maybe we'll have a bunch of janitors playing in the league.
That reminds me, the totally different sport, but the Blackhawks, Chicago Blackhawks, had a bunch of injuries for catchers, and they had to call up a guy who was a part-time hockey player and full-time accountant who came in and had to be the goalie for a while, which I always just thought was hilarious that suddenly we have like a CPA out here tending goal for the Chicago Blackhawks, like one of, the biggest teams in hockey, and it's just this man crunching numbers in his day job out here saving the Blackhawks from dying that year.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I've seen that before, and I'm like, I didn't even know that was a thing that they had like emergency goalies. That's like some random 40-year-old that he's just in the background, hoping to never actually get into the game. So yeah, I've seen that before. It's crazy.
That was the exact case. Well, that's what I have for you. Please let people know where they can find you.
Yeah, absolutely. So you could find me on Twitter at AngelsFaithful.
All right. Well, thank you so much. Best of luck in this series. And then, again, less than a week later in the next one. So thank you so much.
Yeah, absolutely.